should be having used in our country. You got to use raping our kids.
Save our kids!
This is our country. How about we come in your country and do that in your kids? Never going to happen. We come in your country, do that to your kids. We're going to head beheaded.
You know,
these are our children.
No, mate.
What are you teaching them kids? You're mouthing
Go
on.
on. No. Go on. Say something about marketing. Go on.
The camera's rolling.
I don't care.
Wow, this happened in a town centre in broad daylight. A family just screaming abuse at a business owner and accusing him of assaulting kids just because of the way he looks. And even their kids were joining in, like it's completely normal. That's the crazy part. They feel comfortable doing this because deep down they know a lot of people quietly agree with them. They're not scared of being judged, and they think that their anger is shared. And it's not coming from nowhere when the government spends millions on housing migrants in hotels, protecting them from criticism, while ordinary Brits feel ignored in their own communities. Resentment builds, people feel isolated in their own country, and outbursts like this, they're what happens when the isolation finally boils over. And I'm going to break down exactly what's happening and what went wrong in Britain. Since June 2025, over 32,000 illegal immigrants have been housed in more than 200 hotels across the UK. The government hands out contracts so lucrative that the hotel owners make more money than they would running them normally, without any of the risk. Of course they take the deal, but for the rest of us, it means that local hotels, the 3 to 5 star ones, shut their doors to the public, restaurants and bars go private, places that once belonged to communities now feel off limits, and that alienates the ordinary British people even more. And it isn't cheap. The taxpayer is on the hook for £158 per night per person, compared to just 20 quid for standard housing. That's £108 million a month, and climbing as more people arrive every week. Imagine what else that money could do. So it's no surprise that these hotels have become flashpoints. The so-called Fight for Britain has centred around them, with protests, counter-protests and clashes with the police breaking out across the country. And when the Court of Appeal overturned a High Court order to evict migrants from the Bell Hotel, it sent one message loud and clear: illegal immigrants are being prioritised over ordinary British citizens. And that's exactly what people feared, and it's fueling even more outrage. And here's the irony, that anger spills over, not just at the government, but at anyone who even looks like an immigrant, which brings us back to the clip we started with. The man being attacked wasn't a migrant, he was a local business owner living through the same problems as everyone else. But because of the government's actions to cater to illegal immigrants and not its own people, resentment towards anyone who looks like them is at an all-time high, leading to interactions like this. Next up is the Islamophobia debate. Most of the migrants arriving here are young men of fighting age and most likely Muslim. While there's no official data on religion, the fact the majority are men is telling enough, and when you consider that traditional Islam can be very deeply oppressive to women, you can start to see why people are uneasy. But instead of tackling these concerns directly, the Labour government has taken a very different approach. Deputy Prime Minister Rayner launched a group to define what counts as Islamophobia. On the surface, that sounds completely reasonable, right? Who wouldn't want to tackle hate? The problem is what falls under that definition. It could easily infringe on the little free speech we still have here in the UK. For example, saying I think Muhammad's teachings on women were oppressive, a fair critique of history could be twisted into hate speech. Even jokes, cartoons or satire content that depict Muhammad critically could suddenly fall under hate speech law. That's not protection, that's censorship, and it risks creating a new blasphemy law. And ironically, even artistic or satirical critiques can be swept up in this. Take the UK screening of The Lady of Heaven, a film that told the story of the Prophet Muhammad's daughter, Fatima, using CGI and indirect visual techniques to avoid showing holy figures. Even though they took care to respect Islamic norms, cinemas like Cineworld pulled it after protests calling it blasphemous and citing safety concerns. More than 120,000 people petitioned to ban it, and the screenings were cancelled across the country. This isn't just about protecting faith, it's about how easily artistic expression or historical interpretation can be labelled as dangerous and silenced. If simply showing a historical film about Islamic figures can be cancelled under pressure, imagine what else could be targeted once suppression becomes normalised under hate speech law. Let's just take a step back for a second, because this isn't just about the hotels or laws, it's about the climate we're all living in. You don't have to follow politics closely to feel it. The divide is everywhere. In conversations at work, on social media, even just walking past a protest in your own town. Britain feels split down the middle, and no matter where you stand, you can still feel that tension. On the right, immigration is painted as an invasion, a crisis destroying our culture and draining our resources, and on the left, every angry outburst, every protest is painted as proof that the far right is taking over. Both sides fuel each other, both sides thrive on outrage, and caught in the middle are the ordinary people who just want stability but end up alienated from both camps. And here's the thing, it's not just about policy anymore, it's tribal. People convince themselves that by voting a certain way, by protesting outside a hotel, or by reporting to one online for hate speech, they're saving their country. But really, it's become a sport. It's about sticking it to the other side more than actually fixing the problem, and that's why things keep on getting worse. One of the clearest examples of how this culture war plays out is Operation Raise the Colours. It started with something as simple as a schoolgirl. She wore a Union Jack dress on Culture Day, and the school sent her home, stating that the flag was quote unquote offensive. That one decision lit the fuse. People began hanging Union Jacks and St George's flags from their homes, posting them online, filling the streets with colour, and honestly, a lot of towns and cities do look better for it. They look British again. Ordinary people saw it as a way of saying, we are proud of this country and we won't apologise for it. But here's where things get twisted. Extremists saw the movement as a green light. For them, the flags weren't about pride. They were a signal to be more openly racist, to shout louder, to push further, and on the other side, the far left saw the flags and said, this is proof the far right is rising. Something as harmless as flying your own country's flag was either spun into extremism or hate. And once again, the people were stuck in the middle. The ones just wanting to show the pride in where they live are left carrying the consequences. And you can see how quickly this spirals. The same pride that made a town look brighter and more united gets painted as dangerous, hijacked by extremists and condemned by the other side. Which brings us back to the clip at the start of this video. Anger spilling into the streets, aimed at the wrong people, while the real problems go unsolved, and it causes even more divide. That's Britain right now. So here's the truth, tens of thousands of illegal immigrants are being housed in hotels while the government spend hundreds of millions protecting them. Ordinary Brits see their own communities ignored, their money wasted and their voices silenced, and instead of fixing it, the left and the right choose it as ammo in the endless culture war. That's the cycle, protection, resentment, outrage and repeat, and until it breaks, nothing in this country will change. Thank you for watching, leave a like, subscribe or a hate comment, I really don't care.